Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm Megan DiMartino, and this is the fifth day of the Propel 5-Day Challenge. We have been together for these 5 days going over the non negotiable 5 C's: clarity, courage, confidence, commitment, and now compassion. These 5 C's, guys, have helped me start, scale, and sustain 3 7-figure businesses and selling 2. And now I'm off to the races building a 4th. And I want to share all of this with you. I share that not to impress you, but to impress upon you that you too can start and build upon that. But you have to be clear, just to review these 5 days, you have to be clear on what it is, that vision, that mission, but then you have to take action. And in taking that action, you start building that muscle of courage. Courage is strength to withstand any challenge, large or small, that may come across your path. Business and life is a journey. It is not just one straight road. There are many twists and turns, and you have to be prepared for those. And that way you can make those judgment calls of how you should go. That muscle of courage will build confidence. And in that confidence, you know, as you know, as you know, in that knower, that you're on that right path. And no matter what dynamic happens, you will not only move forward, but you will move forward with that confidence, that shine, that sparkle, that light that people will see, and they'll say, what's going on with that person? That person is different. That person has that confidence. Not a haughty, cocky confidence, but a confidence of knowing who you are and whose you are. And in that confidence of trusting the Lord, leaning on God, knowing that He has a path for you, that you will take those next steps and those next steps and those next steps, because there will be those evolution steps. Go back to the previous days as we went over clarity and courage and confidence and commitment. And I go through this and all other people's stories, my stories, that tie together and help you understand all of these dynamics. Then yesterday we did commitment, and I went through the 12 steps of wealth that Napoleon Hill calls his 12 steps that build wealth. Because, I would say that the word wealth, it's a subjective word. What is wealth to you? And that's why these 12 points, these steps, if you want to call them, these awarenesses, these essences of his understanding of think and grow rich. Number 1 is a positive mental attitude. Number 1. Number 12 is financial wealth, or financial security is what he calls it. So to him and to all of us should be that wealth is not just, that big fat checking account, or that understanding that you can buy a plane ticket and go to Italy if you chose to, meaning that those are security pieces. That's what he's talking about, those 12. But to get to that place are so many other things. Harmony in relationships, as I said, positive mental attitude, doing what makes your heart sing. There's so many, just wonderful, wonderful points, and you need to go back to listen to that. So there's clarity, courage, confidence, commitment, and today we're speaking about compassion. Now, when people hear the word compassion, they think of, oh, well, I'm compassionate for others. I give donations to when there's a tornado or a hurricane, or tithing in church, or generosity or, you know, I'm thinking the other guy. And when I see someone who is challenged by something emotionally or circumstantially, I give to that, you know, my time, my heart. Those are all compassionate things, absolutely. But what we're talking about today is compassion for you. For you. My Propel Daily, which I'd love you to join me on, every day you receive early in the morning just a nugget of inspiration and encouragement. And today's is don't look back. You're not going that way. You're not. You're not. Because if you join me on this Propel Your Business and Life Activation Program with these 5 C's, and start with this 5-day challenge and listen to the replays, which will be on YouTube through the weekend, but you still can join the VIP and receive all of these replays, as well as the daily accountability assignment, as well as other things, which I'll share with you at the end of this. But as you embark upon a new journey, a new decision, that decision, as he says, as Napoleon Hill says, it all begins with a decision. It all begins with a decision. But that takes that clarity of understanding that that decision, I am going to do X, Y, Z. I am going to do that. And then you see the why of it. Why are you doing that? And that's what we pull apart with that courage, that confidence, that commitment, and own that, own it, and take that step. And the second and third step will be revealed to you. But it begins with that decision, that see it, believe it, take action. You have to own it. You have to write it down on tablets. You have to continue to see it, not just one day, but write it again and again and again. But what will happen in writing it down every day, AM, PM, journal it. As you do that, that one statement that you, or that one desire, dream, goal, and desire, but without having a plan, you're planning to fail. So as you write it down, it becomes alive. But what's interesting about it, as I said, it becomes alive. And so in that energy of aliveness, you start to see different tangents of it. And also, other people and dynamics will be revealed to you. And you have that aha moment. This is what's going to take me over there. This is going to help me. But all in the same vein, you have that decision, that definitiveness of purpose, that definitive of decision, that definitiveness. You know it, you see it, you take action. But as you write it down, that visualization, verbalization, actualization, meaning as you write it down and then you speak it forth, you're manifesting it, you're bringing it to life, speaking it as though it is. Faith comes by hearing, and hearing the word of God. Faith is the things hoped for, but the evidence not yet seen. Very interesting concept from the word of God. But faith, that knowingness, and that hope for, meaning you've written it down, you see it, you believe it, you take action. You've taken that tiny small step, and then the second and third step will be revealed to you through all of those dynamics, people, places, aha moments, those still, quiet, small voices. They will guide you. You will see it. So, but the first step is to see it, believe it, take action, have to write it down. Got a call, but write it down every day in the morning with your goals and gratitude journal, and then journal it. And then in the evening, recap and just write it down again. So you marinate on that as you sleep. So back to compassion. How many of us have made poor decisions. Trust me, I've made more than most. But it is in that learning of that decision. It's it's about humility. It's really about going inward and taking stock, auditing it. Why did that happen? What decision did I make that contributed to that outcome? What really went on? But before I go into one that is just monumental-ish to me and my journey, is that don't look back. You're not going that way. So what I mean about that is I'm going to share this experience with you. But I don't own it. I don't have it in my spirit. I have analyzed it. I've looked at it from every which way from Sunday. I know, as I know, on some level, the genesis of it, and then the evolution of it. I mean, when I say genesis, meaning that first decision of that. But I have looked at it, and I have forgiven the parties, and I have forgiven myself. Because if I was carrying that with me, I would not be standing here today with you. I wouldn't. Because the PS to the story would not have happened, but I'll go into that. But as important as the PS to the story, emotionally, spiritually, I would have aborted the plan that God had for me in my life. So I've shared in these subsequent days that I married in 2006 Paul Matthew Tyler. I had no plan on getting married, none, zero, nada. The first time was enough for me. Very full life. I have 2 daughters, involved in bringing them up, educating them, building my businesses, a lot of friends all over the country, a very nice lifestyle. I have family that I love and I do things with. So, why would I do that? I didn't have a quote unquote need, I perceived, to do that. But God had a different plan. He actually moved me down to the Austin area, to a town called Georgetown, which is about 20 miles north of Austin. Today it's a major bedroom community of Austin. It has a beautiful historic square. I saw it in the summer of 2003. My daughter Jill had moved down to Austin, and she was thinking of buying a home. She wanted me to look at it. So I drove down from Fort Worth to look at this home with her. We went to Georgetown. I had the market days. We lived in Connecticut for many years. She said, this town reminds me of Ridgefield, where we lived. She said, let's go over there. So we did. And something about it just resonated with me. Now I was looking to buy an existing salon that I could convert to a salon spa and do an education center in Fort Worth, but nothing was coming together. And so when I saw Georgetown, I was like, maybe this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm not going to go into that. I've shared other little pieces of this story in these subsequent days. Reason I say this is that I knew God had a plan, that it was so strong, and when it's so strong like that, I pay attention. And so I started putting together, fact-finding, market research, looking at the market and all of that. And as I saw all that, I could see that this was really probably a good decision. So anyhow, that unfolded and gelled and came together. In 2004, I took a one-room studio and a lovely hair salon here and branded it Novitas Spa, Rachel and Company, and started building that brand. And then in 2005 came up to the square and started my first Novitas Spa on the square, and then evolved that to the Novitas Spa Medical Rejuvenation Clinic. But as it was still as the Novitas Spa on the square, beautiful luxury day spa, I met Paul Matthew Tyler. I met him at Celebration Church, and I've been going to Celebration for years. And Paul did not live here. He was an expat from Michigan, but didn't like the winters. He had recently retired, had a very good friend that lived here, and came and went just visiting this person, and she went to Celebration. I knew her. We all started hanging out. And so during that season, I got to know Paul. And he was retired from the auto industry. He was an engineer, and his specialty was lubricants. So he knew more about chemistry than I ever would. And he loved going to my warehouse, my manufacturer, the lab and the manufacturing of the Novitas clinical products that was up in Dallas, and he loved going. And so we would go, and he was such a very wise man, and he was a very sensitive person to people. And he recognized that I had a strength, and that he encouraged that strength. Most people in the past, and that's why I was not interested in marrying, basically were intrigued by my strength and my determination and my creativity, but eventually became very competitive with it. And Paul did not. Paul encouraged it, and he endorsed me. So it really was a wonderful season of just comradeship. And then during this season, he said, let's get married. I'm like, get married? Oh my goodness. And so I ended up, I knew as I knew again that I was supposed to do this. So December 9th, 2006, Paul and I married. And then several short years later, in December again, shortly after our anniversary, he had a small stroke. Well, I didn't know of that, but he had a small stroke. When I say small, it was a pinprick in the right parietal side of his brain. And if any of us had that, we would go to physical therapy, build that, because that's motor skills, and recover. But not Paul. Paul had a condition brewing, which none of us knew, called Lewy body syndrome, which is a Parkinson's form of dementia. And as the neurologist said, it threw him into this with great force. So this beautiful man, this wonderful, wise, gentle giant, he was a tall guy, in shape, rode his bike every day, became the Hulk very quickly. And so it threw me into a tsunami, holding onto the trees, hoping I would survive. Now this is the piece, that's the backstory. This is the piece that I have had to do work within. So it was going south very quickly. We had some savings, but not sufficient to handle what was about to happen. I kept him home with me. That was in January now, until August. But I couldn't handle it. And from that standpoint, he just was borderline, very aggressive, let's just say that. And he didn't sleep well, and communication skills were not there. So I had to look to find a nursing home that would accommodate his needs. They said yes, 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 but again, they grew to not be able to because of his aggressiveness. So Paul was in and out of nursing homes with memory care, and but they just really were not set up to handle his condition. So it was just a very challenging time. During this season, I needed to finish out, and this is, I'm not going to go into this story, but this piece of the story, but I needed to finish out the expansion of the spa. We had started it, but then put it on hold, and it really had to get done. So next door, there was a new business, and they had gone in there very quickly. It was like, wow. So I contacted them to find out what contractor they used, who did they use. And remember, my funds that I had set aside for that were being utilized for Paul's care. And so this person next door claimed he was a contractor himself, that he had everyone set up that could help. And so with that said, he said, I will, for a percentage of your business, I will do this at no charge. I said, no, that's not what I want to do. But we put together a program where I paid him funds, but I kind of took not just a loan, but meaning a loan to equity. where it could be converted to equity of the business, and which was his insurance policy, basically. But it turned out that he was a very shady character. Pointless to go into that. But he was not up and up. That's all I'm going to say at this point. And I will say this much, that some of the subs that he brought in, he never paid. I ended up having to pay. So there were so many shady things like that that transpired during this very challenging time. Mistake number one, getting involved with him, not trusting in the Lord, getting involved with him. So during this season, I hired a person who I had met, who had come to me applying for a job, basically. He was very smooth operator, let's just say that. But he was a massage therapist also by trade, by license. And when this was going south, I had said no, I didn't have room physically, and also we had enough massage therapists at that time on staff, so I really didn't have a need. But I called him and said, why don't you come over, let's talk, because I really am in this very difficult time. I can't keep my eyes and mind and direction on the business at this moment. And he came in, met with me, and I hired him. And basically I hired him in a management position. Number two mistake. Gave too much power to this person right away. He did not prove himself. I shared in subsequent segments, about my master's program. I mean, I ignored all of what I know because of this challenge, meaning know to do. Start small, go big. I jumped in and hired him and gave him that position. So he had all the keys to the kingdom. He had the access to the checking account, access to everything, Now, meanwhile, the snake next door had not totally revealed himself. And so this person, my manager, and he started working together. This manager person started changing some of my policies. I said, no, you don't do that without conferring with me. And he acted like, oh, no worries, very smooth, very, very knowledgeable in how to manage that undercurrent, that underbelly of manipulation. Very, very manipulative, very passive aggressive. Not really overtly that, but knew how to manipulate. So as the seasons went on and was getting really more and more challenging with Paul, this person, was there and doing his job. And the finish out of the completion of the spa, let's just say, happened. And so things were going on. June of 2011, the lease for the building, I had a 5-year lease. I had signed, I don't know, by this point, maybe 2 or 3 5-year leases starting in 2005. So this was 5 to 10. So this was actually the second lease. And so, but I had been there for, these years. So, and actually I had a short-term lease before with another smaller location. So I knew this landlord well. So it was time to sign the lease, renew it. And the renewal came across on my email, and the property manager called me and said, Megan, I sent you the renewal, come on over and sign it. Well, that very day, Paul was coming home with hospice, because I had vowed to myself that when he stopped walking, he would come home and pass in our home. And that very day, he was coming home, but I was, in the days before, was preparing for this. And this manager person was watching this very closely, knew this very clearly. Probably the snake advised him, and possibly others. But basically, he said, Megan, no worries, let me go over and I'll take care of it. I'll pick it up. I could have downloaded it and signed it and mailed it, but I wasn't thinking. And he did that. He went over, but what did he do? He signed it. in his own name. He hijacked the lease, so from his snaky position, he owned the business. He didn't own the trade name, he didn't own the URL, he didn't own it, but he locked me out and took over the checking account. But because I know what to do, I kept the skincare brand separate. The skincare brand, Novitas Spa Clinicals, sold products to the spa. The spa was a client. So I continued to manage that with my manufacturer, purchasing product, and that's when they started beginning to ship for me. That kept me afloat. That kept me where I could navigate through this. But I hired a very strong attorney. We fought this. The landlord obviously was just devastated that this happened, because it ultimately was, they should not have allowed it to happen. But so they fought with me. Cost me a lot of money, legal fees, as well as getting this guy out of there, because he was there from June to October. But Paul passed away September 29th, 2011. And after they took his body out of our home, sometime in the morning, I went to my computer and my attorney emailed me saying that this person has decided to walk. Those were his words. He knew he didn't own it. He knew he didn't have it. I mean, I would have won in a court of law, but I would have lost the business. But I knew what to do. I fought it. I didn't stop. I was committed to it. I was committed to this business. I was committed to the people that worked for me. I was committed to myself. I was committed to what God had given me. I was very clear. There's so many other points of this journey. As I said, they go like this. So many other points that I know as I know as I know. Novita, new birth, new life, always something new. That's my promise to you, is given to me from God. And so when I got back into the business in October, it was a wreck. I put my lab coat on, jumped back into the treatment room, fired half the staff that he had hired, and rebuilt the business. That was October 2011, and rebuilt the business. It's never too early or too late to create the life of your dreams, but you have to be clear. You have to build that courage muscle. You have to have confidence in that decision. You have to be committed to that, and then compassion. Wow, that was a tough one, guys, because it could have gone in so many ways. I could have been so devastated by Paul's situation, lack of funds, devastated by having another battle to fight, but I knew as I knew that that wasn't what I was to do. But I had to go within, because mistakes repeat themselves. And some of those decisions that I made there were decisions, dressed in different clothing, but regardless, similar decisions. Not trusting, not leaning on the Lord, not waiting on Him, not meaning there were so many signals and signs about the manager person. I should have fired him 6 months into, maybe even less. I should have just said no. I'm sorry, this is not working. But I didn't. I didn't listen to that inner, small, quiet voice that got louder and louder. I ignored it. I should never have gotten involved with the snake. I should have said, you know what, God will provide. We will work through this somehow, some way. I will get this finished. But I didn't do that. I'm speaking to myself too, by the way. I'm human, and I will always be transparent with you, always. But I continue to use these teaching lessons, not only just for you, but for myself. Through them, there are so many business building pieces to it. What's really saved, one of the things, and I'll just share this with you, is intellectual property. He did not own the intellectual property of the name Novita. He did not own it. And so one of the things that we used to squeeze him out was that part of my attorney pushing and pushing and pushing was that he had to take the sign down because he didn't own it. And the landlord owned the front of the building. He didn't own the front of the building. He didn't own where that sign was on, the canopy of the facade. And so the landlord then sent him a kind of a cease and desist letter of that sign, and that he had to take it down. He didn't own that. He was working with my attorney, and that he had to take it down. So he had to change the name of the business. And so he didn't own that. And so he, on some level, realized then that, and I'm not saying he did, because I wasn't privy to his brain and his plotting and planning, but that we kept squeezing him and squeezing him and squeezing him. Also, my manufacturer would not sell to him products, so he couldn't get those. So he had a hodgepodge of this and that. So we sold a lot of product through that business, and so he couldn't have that, gross sale because it wasn't there. So he had to build a new brand. I don't mean manufacture, but meaning bring something in and train the staff. He didn't have the ability to do that. So, and probably didn't have the finances to do that. And so we kept pushing and pushing and pushing. But again, I could have averted this, but I have forgiven myself. I don't have an emotion about this. I don't, because so many years have gone by, so many other decisions have been made, some similar. Guess what? Meaning, I'm not as in grand scope, but on the other side of the coin, where I look back and say, I didn't trust. I didn't totally say to the Lord. That's why in the last years, the teaching of Proverbs, wisdom, going within, but having Scripture give that foundation to it. Matthew 6:33, seek ye first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness. Not the snake, not this manager, not XYZ over there, his righteousness. And all things will be given unto you. But you have to do that. You have to study that. You have to marinate on it. You have to pour it into your spirit. You have to have that humility to go back within. Type A personalities, as I am, a self-start and different, the Colby and different personality, what do they call them? Programs that you evaluate yourself to give, information, which is good. I'm a type A personality. Most type A personalities just want the pat on the shoulder and say, wow, great job doing, super, what's up? But no, truth. We all need that. But we need to go do that inner evaluation, that inner studying of what did happen and the why of it. What did I do to contribute to that? But then, after you do that audit, let it go. It's always going to be part of your life. But don't look back. You're not going that way. I am going forward. God has put a plan for my life. As I said, intellectual property, Novitas Spa, federally trademarked. I own that name. I own that mark. The Novitas Spa clinical products, I own that. The URL, novitasspa.com, I own that. So the bottom line of that is that that is what saved this situation from totally imploding and losing it. And over time, that has become so crystal clear to me of how important that is. And those are the things I want to help you identify, put together, and actualize it. That is what the Propel program is. It is helping you not continue to go back, continue to look back, continue to drag that past with you. It's time to let it go. Grace is a gift from God. By the grace of God go I. It's a gift from God. It's in the Word. By the grace of God go I. It's a free gift. It is showered to us. That's what the Israelites had. That journey should have taken 11 days. It took 40 years because they kept doubting. They kept holding on. Oh man, I should go back to Egypt. Man, I had a house. I didn't have to lie on the ground, even though God provided every part of their need, every part. But they continued to look back. God said to Lot's wife, or to Lot and Abraham, no one look back. You're not going that way. But she was like, well, it's so fun there. Oh, they party all the time. And she looked back and she turned into a pillar of stone. Don't look back. You're not going that way. By the grace of God, you are going forward with your goals, dreams, aspirations. You see it, you believe it, you are taking action. You're here today. That's taking action. You're going to continue on. When you find a party, like myself, it doesn't have to be me, but what I'm saying is, or it could be a group of mentors that you put together, because that's one of my mistakes from the past. And I mean, I don't beat myself up about this because it wasn't available to me back in the day when I started my first business in '92. I'm talking about mentors. But I did have mentors of the like Napoleon Hill, like Tony Robbins, like Zig Ziglar, like Jim Rohn, Stephen Covey. These people have guided me to help me. The very first self-help book, if you want to call it that, very first, I think I was probably 22 or 3, was The Road Less Traveled by Scott M. Peck. Yeah. And the first sentence of that book is, and it's still in print, is that life is difficult and it will become more difficult if you don't acknowledge that it's difficult. Meaning, it's not everyone, I don't care who they are. I don't care who they are. To Mother Teresa, to the wealthiest man alive, to da-ba-doo-ba-doo. I don't care who they are. They have challenges. They have obstacles. But as Napoleon Hill said, positive mental attitude, sound physical health, harmony in human relationships. These are the first 3. Those are the first 3, the greatest, the contributing factors to sustaining wealth. So applied knowledge, applied faith, doing a labor of love. Those are some of his top 5. The bottom line is it starts with a positive mental attitude. How could I have sustained that? How could I have sustained the Paul piece as well as the other piece? How could I have done that? How could I? Number 1, I break things down into small, manageable parts. I used to say to my daughters, don't make a shit soup. Excuse my language, but you have to be very visual here. You know, I mean, I'm a mother of 2 daughters, single parent, no husband, no father. I mean, he was gone. And so it was just me. And, you know, I mean, oh my God, this happened, blah, 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 you know, all in like a minute. I said, whoa, let's break this down into small, manageable parts. I've been breaking things down into small, manageable parts since I was a very young person. I know how to do it. I have emotional intelligence, and I can help you stay that course, not meander all over the place and just self-flagellate and just, oh my God, why did I do that? It's over. It's over. You do have to look at it. You have to embrace it. You have to love it, forgive it, and move on. But grace is a gift from God. It's a gift. And just bathe in it. Bathe in it. Know that God is here. Jeremiah 29:11. He has plans for your life. He knows that. He knew I was going, he created me. He knows my personality. He knows that I was going to try to fit a square peg in a round hole. That's not breaking things down into small, manageable parts. He knew that under that tremendous, I mean, there were so many things coming at me at one time. He knew I was going to do that. But he gave me the strength and the faith that I was going to be able to break it down into small, manageable parts, deal with Paul, deal with this. Now, I made some wrong decisions here, but I was able to work through it because of certain decisions that I did do correctly. So the thing about life, guys, is that take that first step. The second and third step will be revealed to you, but do that self-audit. And the last piece to that is, after you let it go, know that you need to surround yourself with people that will enhance you, not diminish you. People that will support your dreams, goals, and aspirations. The people that enhance your life. As Jim Rohn said, you're the sum of the 5 people closest to your life. I would say the closest is my relationship with Jesus, my relationship with His Word, which is really the guidepost to my life. But people that I have and am continue to surround myself with. These people are enhancing my life and are helping me guide my next step and my next step and my next step. When I sold the asset purchase, I have to check the time. When I sold the asset purchase of let me back up. During 2020 in the lockdown, I never went dark. I was always there, always. Because I had projects I was working on, so it was as easy to work out there than at my home. Number 2, I had all my computers and so all my tools were there. I started doing a podcast during that season. I also, though, as long as FedEx was open, which it was, I was able to ship products. So I brought in, before the warehouse closed, the week of March 18th-ish, I brought a large inventory into the building. And so when people bought online, I was the shipper, brought it over to FedEx, and they shipped it out. So I was there every day. So one of these days, I just finished a podcast filming, and the door was locked, and people did come and buy product, and they did come to buy gift cards, even though they could buy all of that online. Not a lot, but a few people did. So a guy came to my front door. My assistant had just left, and the door was locked. As I said, the guy knocked on the door. I opened it up, and I said, "May I help you?" And he said, "Hi, I'm so-and-so. Would you like to talk to me about selling me your business?" Excuse me. So I invited him in, and he sat 6 feet over there, 6 feet over there, and we started communicating about this. And as the days and then weeks and then months went by, I knew that I was not going, again, back to the mistake, right? Don't look back, you're not going there. I knew from the mistake I was not going to sell the trade name, the product line, the URL, and by this point, my relationship with the company that I was doing regenerative stem cell with. He wasn't interested in that, and he didn't understand the value of the trade name. He didn't understand that. He wasn't from the industry, and he really wasn't an entrepreneur. So that wasn't really a big deal, but I made sure that he didn't own that. So I sold an asset purchase, which was the lease, the beautiful place, the availability to it, the utilization of it, as well as the expensive equipment and all that, because he didn't own the building. He just leased that space. Anyhow, over time, he actually even left there. It's not the point of the story. But the point of the story is that I owned all of that, and I'm still using it. It's still valuable, and I'm building my next business with it. Novitas Beauty and Regenerative Wellness. So we're doing regenerative stem cell, vitamin infusion, of course, my products. I'm leasing the rooms, interestingly, to 3 of the gals that work for me. They were my employees, but now they have their own businesses, which I mentored and helped do. That they now have their own businesses, so they're leasing those 3 treatment rooms. So it's just a step-by-step process of life. But I now am building this new regenerative wellness, and I am with stem cell and vitamin infusion and the Novitas products, and I have different plans for those. I write it on tablets. I can see it taking into different directions, but I have the general vision of it. I see it, I believe it, I'm taking action. I'm using these steps, and I will take these steps until I don't take these steps, meaning until I take my last breath. As I sold that, after I sold the asset purchase, I called Sharon Lechter. Sharon Lechter is the co-author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. She's now on the board of the Napoleon Hill Foundation. That's how I met her, at a function that she was at in Austin, Texas in 2017, launching her book called Think and Grow Rich for Women. That's how I met her initially, but got to know her over time. As I sold the asset purchase, I called she and spoke to her assistant initially, or her partner really now, and said, I would like to talk to you guys about me working with Sharon and you. Because I know, as I said, I can't do it alone. You need mentors, you need consultants to help you build your businesses. As I said yesterday, with commitment, I'm not an accountant, I'm not a CPA, I'm not an IT person, I'm not a designer. Now, I'm very creative and I work with my designer hand in glove, and I work with my IT person, my systems person, Angeline Moore, and my designer, Elizabeth Hauser, meaning when you see all of this, those two women are working with me hand in glove. But back to Sharon. So Sharon and I started, working together for about 6 months. And during that season is when I identified, working with her, that it was time to put the Propel program together. Why? Because I have all of this information. I have all of this experience, and I can help you identify your dreams, goals, and aspirations, and take that step to attain them, to actualize them. So as Sharon said to me, Megan, you're not retiring, you're refiring. Truth. Now this is 20. This is June of 20 when I started working with her, and then worked for into 21, and that's when I started putting together the Propel Your Business and Life Activation Program to start, scale, and ultimately sustain the business and life of your dreams. But I needed to get it to you. I needed you to know about it. And so hence I've started the Propel Daily. You can sign up for daily, as I shared in the beginning of this time together of compassion. Today's Propel Daily, which comes out around 7 o'clock in the morning, depending on where you live, it is, don't look back. You're not going that way. Now, I strategically set it up for that today because this was the 5th day of the 5-day challenge, the Propel 5-day challenge. But that bottom line is don't look back. You have to do that audit. You have to look at it. You have to go within. But look at it, bless it, forgive it, and let it go. Let it go, because you're moving forward. So during 2021, I did the videos and the workbooks. There's 2 modules, a start module and a scale module. It's a 10-week program. That is what you purchase. And you purchase the start and scale. And there are 5 videos and 5 workbooks. And, during that week, I'll send you emails, just to interact. But between when the 5th week of finishes, completed, we have a mastermind. We have a Zoom call, and we talk about it. And then we furnish you with, email you the scale. Scale is really then branding. It's taking your business to that next step, So you need to do the start module and then the scale module. And then after that, we'll have another mastermind. And then I invite you to join me on the Sustain Mastermind. And that is a bi-monthly where we all meet together and talk, and it will be interactive. And I will not allow that to get too large because I'll do various ones. I'll keep them where you're in a group and we can all work together. Very important to work together, to have that mentor, but also surround yourself with people that are of like mind, like spirits, and then from there we'll go on and do other things, maybe retreats and the like. But it's a start and scale. Now today is the 5th day of the 5-day challenge, and we have a VIP program for $97. Oh, by the way, this I've kept it very, very affordable. I'm talking about the Propel Your Business and Life Activation Program. It's $397. You can go to my website right now, megandimartino.com, and purchase it. People do. But I did this 5-day challenge for purpose, for you to get to know me, get to know this program, and see that if this is who you want to work with and how you want to work, you know, my structure. So the VIP gives you all of the recordings. Let's say you just came in today. You can pay the $97 and receive all of the recordings of these 5 days, but you'll also, and the assignment sheets, which we sent with you. Today we'll have one. So you'll receive all those, but you'll also receive the first start module and the first workbook module of the first clarity module. Okay, you'll receive clarity, I should say it that way. You'll receive the video and the workbook. You will. And more importantly, or as important, not more, as important, the net, we will take the $97 off of the $397. Pretty simple. So that way, we can start now with the start module, with the first workbook and video, clarity. The first of the 5 C's of my non-negotiables to start, scale, and sustain the business and life of your dreams. So guys, I cannot share more heartily with you that if you do not get anything from this, go to YouTube this weekend, and they will be up there this weekend, these 5 days. Take some time and listen to these 5 days, and then make your judgment call then to see if in fact you'd like to work with me, and spend these 10 weeks. Just even do that. Spend these 10 weeks. You know, in the sign up for this program, the landing page, you read some testimonies. Those are real people. Those are real testimonies. Those are real, in real time, people that I have worked with, and their story. Well, you really should read that. Go back to that, and you will glean the thread that these people had they were their own person. They had their own visions. They had their own needs. They were coming from different industries or different times in their industries, but they were coming from different point of references. But they all needed that mentor. They all needed that person that could lead them through the promised land, into the promised land, rather. So through that desert into the promised land. So it doesn't take 40 years, that it takes those 11 weeks. That I want to minimize the anguish that you have, minimize the challenge you have. Let's have fun. Let's enjoy this. Let's enjoy the journey together, because this is what God has created you for. He has created you for your destiny. He has created you for your vision, your mission, but you have to take action. It is all about taking action, but you need to be clear. You need that clarity. You need to build that courage muscle. You need to have confidence in it. You have to then, because it's courage with confidence, and then that commitment to what you're doing, what you've chosen to do, and then compassion. Because without compassion, that's where the yucky pucky starts. That's where, and you drag it, and you never, that's the Israelites. They were just walking in circles. And so they needed to take that step. They needed to let that go and walk forward into the promised land. So thank you so much for sharing these 5 days with me. I have truly enjoyed this. I so look forward to working with you. Go to the landing page, review that, join the VIP, and then let's look at that together. But if you need some additional encouragement to do that, go to YouTube, listen to the replays of this 5 days, and the assignment sheets are there as well. And if not, we can certainly send those to you. But those assignment sheets are really a recap of that day, which is a good tool. And then make that decision. Sign up for that VIP, and then evaluate that and then ultimately join me on the Propel Your Business and Life Activation Program. I know you will not regret doing that. So I leave you with this, that there is always hope and infinite possibilities just over the horizon. You must take that step. And it is never too early or too late to create the life of your dreams. Be blessed. And thank you for joining me.